Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Nasomatto, and here we talk about fragrances and art. Today I want to give a quick talk about Nasomatto Narcotic V or Narcotic Venus. So very simple bottle and top. This is the fragrance where the perfumer claims, Alessandro Gualtieri, that this is the quest of the overwhelming, addictive intensity of the female sexual power. So I've naturally been very curious about this fragrance, but most of all, also the perfumer. You might recall that in 2013, he was the subject of this fascinating documentary, The Nose. And so this is this avant-garde perfumer. And so he has a whole line of fragrances. And so I wanted to talk about this one today. Narcotic V for Narcotic Venus. Now, this bold claim of overwhelming addictive intensity of the female sexual power. I mean, we hear those claims a lot. I hear those claims a lot in perfumes, and I don't think much about them. I'm thinking, okay, it could be marketing, exaggeration. But I felt that if I were going to take anyone seriously, and this is a flower fragrance, and if you've heard me before, I'm not a white flower fragrance person. I love white flowers, but I usually don't like to walk around smelling like flowers. But I thought I was going to try to understand the creativity of this avant-garde perfumer. So what do we get here? Now, this fragrance is really centered around tuberose, and this is not the only fragrance that make use of tuberose with the idea of conveying this overwhelming intensity of sexuality, female sexuality. We have Robert Piguet, Fracas. That's the epitome of the tuberose fragrance. I've never ventured into that zone right there, but I understand that's the fragrance that, Madonna of the world use and so forth. So this fragrance right here, the notes are actually pretty simple. There are white floral, tuberose, animalic, and green. So that's what's listed in them. And so when you open the fragrance, it can really blow you away. It's depending on where you are and the context upon which you open the fragrance. I've had different experience with it. If you open it right up in the air, it really feels like not a very attractive fragrance. Right off the bat, you're not going to convince at all that this perfumer is going anywhere. The fragrance smells like a little bit very immature to start. If you just sort of spray it, I sprayed it and I was in my car and my 13-year-old thought, oh, it was a beautiful air freshener. But I actually sprayed it right after the shower and my body was warm, and then I was in a warm situation and it felt like I was enveloped in some of pink sweet marshmallow. And I don't even need sweetness that much, but it was so highly concentrated and of such quality. This is an extrait de parfum, that it was a very nice cocoon feeling. But be it as it may, the beginning is probably not the greatest situation that one can find. And I've actually found myself rubbing it slightly just to kind of step up the beginning of this fragrance. But I must say that as you move into the middle of this fragrance and you sort of leave this youthful, innocent treatment of the flower in the very beginning, and which is, I would imagine, the perfumer is trying to sort of create this blooming magnetism. So depending on how you take it, in, you know, if that's the way he wants to begin his quest, that's sort of open to interpretation. But the fragrance becomes quite lovely, I find, you know, as it turns more mature. And I find that that's really where you feel if the perfumer is trying to create some form of lustfulness, and the tuberose has this quality to it. It might begin innocent, and then it gets to this milky comfort feels to it. And at the same time, he's able to blend it so well that there is quite a bit of elegance. And so I've really tried this fragrance many times, and for me to take a flower seriously, it says a lot. So the perfumer this is a 2007 fragrance, it's not new, so there is a lot of talk that's being said that's about it, and it's very conflicting. But I feel that this is a fragrance that really required that I took my time, that I really gave some credit to its creator and tried to understand his artistic expression. And for me to get to a point where something has an animalic note, which sometimes can come out very synthetic, very skanky-like. And my husband, I've noticed, tend to think that I smell sweat whenever I have something that have animalic note in it. But this one remains so at that stage, that's really when it blooms. So I don't know how it does it, but taking the tuberose, the white flower, and whatever the animalic note is, you really, I believe, can start taking this fragrance seriously. And as it matures toward the very base of it, the flower still remains very faint, and it really get to this sort of level of intimacy. I must admit, you know, the skin to skin smell, feel to it, that's very, very pleasant. So the jury is out, it's still open to interpretation, but I ultimately trusted and agree that there was a story that Galtieri was trying to say, and he came very close to expressing it, and I buy into it a little bit, because at the last stage of the fragrance, it does not interfere, and I totally do not mind cozying up with hubby. I don't feel like I'm smelling like, I don't like to smell like fragrance when I'm in a cozying up situation. So that's really a level of comfort and closeness, and by then it becomes really a skin scent, unless if you are very, very close, you can't really smell it. I suppose that is what the perfumer was trying to convey. So on that base alone, I believe that he probably got to that quest. So I thought the type of art that really conveyed this sort of Venus-like love, pinkish sexuality and woman form was the type of expressionist art that you actually find all over the place on the streets in Haiti. This is an unknown author, but I thought this artwork right here perfectly convey the feel of the fragrance and how, but clearly the master of expressionist painting, this is not the best frame, it's Desmangles, Albert Desmangles. And I purchased, my husband and I purchased a number of paintings from him through his wife, who is Margaret Papillon, a best-selling novelist. So Robert Demang paint in the tradition of basically modern but expressionist, where I mean his art is really this arabesque of contour and transparent forms of the female body, and there is a lot of pink in his paintings, and it's just very beautiful. You know, you see the transparency, the form, and the beauty of woman that is a constant search clearly in his painting. And I felt that the inspiration with Alessandro Gualtieri in Narcotic V perfectly convey some of the feel of Albert Demang's work. And I have a number of those pieces, and I just love having them around in a more intimate space in the house. And I'm just very happy to share those thoughts with you. Until next time, bye-bye.